Hey guys, I'm excited to announce a new series here on the channel. I think I'm going to call it something like My Backyard Biodiversity Survey. I'm not quite sure on the name yet. I don't know if that's really that catchy, but the idea of this series is that every week, we're just going to take some time to slow down, go for a walk outside, and see what kind of cool animals we can find. Throughout the series, I'm going to keep a running total of the number of species we find. I'll keep a list of them somewhere, and I think we can find a lot of cool things. So right now we found 0 species in the Backyard Biodiversity Survey, and we're gonna go on a little walk and see what we can find today. So it's December here in Alabama right now, and it was absolutely pouring this morning, so the ground's pretty wet. Since it's winter time, I'm not expecting to find a ton of things out and about, but I'm always pleasantly surprised, so we'll see what we find. Ooh, almost fell. Alright, so I found my first little animal here today. It's a little slug. I'm not sure what kind of slug it is. I know my snails really well, but not my slug, so I'm going to look at some books when I get home. But I got some good photos of it. Let's take a look at him. Something that I always enjoy after a good rain like we had this morning is that when you look at the mosses around the base of these trees, they're fully extended after a nice rain, and they look way more like lush and pretty. So right now for the survey, I think we're going to primarily focus on the animals in my backyard because I frankly don't know enough about plants and fungus, but in the future, I'm hoping to survey those as well.
So I said I wasn't going to survey fungus, at least yet, but I started finding cool mushrooms and changed my mind. So the mushroom survey starts now too.
Just walking down into the woods here, and we found a little snail. Let's take a look at him. So taking a closer look, this snail shell is actually empty, but I think throughout the survey we're actually going to take into account animal traces, so leftover bones, shells, things like that, because we know the animals are here in our survey. So I'm going to get some photos of it and see if we can identify it. It's definitely a mesenfix button snail. So something I'm going to try here is basically just looking under the leaf litter at the base of this tree and just pulling it gently aside and seeing if we can find any animals under the leaves here. So I'm going to take a look and see if we find anything. Here I was just looking through the leaf litter at the base of this tree, and we found a brown-bellied tooth snail, just a little tiny red snail. I really like these ones. Now here we got a tree that fell over, and there's a whole bunch of big pieces of log and bark on the ground, so I'm gonna roll them over and see if there's anything underneath. Let's take a look. Here we got one. We got a slimy salamander. Let's take a look at him. It's very cute. Ooh, let's try to wriggle away. See him there? Good find. Our first salamander of the Backyard Biodiversity Survey.
And there he goes, back under the log.
So now that we've found a couple of things, I'm going to put the number of species we found so far up here in the left corner. And I want to talk for a second about our running species count. This number is probably going to shift and change throughout the series, sometimes going up, sometimes going down week to week. Month to month. And the reason for that is because I'm going to put my best identifications I can on here for the videos. And I'm not an expert in all these animals. I'm not an expert in almost any of them except for the snails. So sometimes I might identify something wrong. Sometimes I'll get a better identification if I only can do it to genus. And I can cause the number to go up a little bit or go down a little bit. So if you see some fluctuations from video to video, that's me trying to keep track of how many species we actually found with the updated identifications. So that's what's going to be happening with those. So let's continue our walk. Here's a fun one. We were walking down the trail, I looked at this tree, and there's a little snail crawling up it.
Now this little snail here we found on the tree is a juvenile Mesodon thyroidus, also called the white-lipped globe snail. Now I know it's a juvenile because it hasn't developed the reflected lip around the aperture. So basically there's an opening where the snail comes out and adults will form a lip around that area. A little bit later in the hike I found an adult Mesodon thyroidus, and this is what it looked like here.
So it's starting to get a little dark now, so I'm going to head back to the house. If it isn't obvious, I particularly like snails and slugs. I'm a malacologist, so I study mollusks, which includes snails and slugs. But what I'm really excited about in this series is the first couple episodes are probably going to focus on those. But as I start finding all the snails you can find here in the backyard, it's really going to push me to start slowing down and looking for other things as well and learning more about them. So I'm really excited to see what we can find. Thanks for tuning in.